Good evening. This is a meeting of the Hampden Selectboard and the Board of Health being held in the Townhouse Auditorium on June 9th, 2025 at 6:02 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. This meeting is being conducted in person and remotely using video conferencing technology. Is anyone recording the meeting other than ourselves?
I have not seen Kristen.
No, she said she wouldn't be able to be here tonight.
Seeing none, we'll continue. The first item we have on our agenda is the minutes from May 5th, May 12th, May 19th, and May 27th.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to motion that we accept all 4 minutes without change.
We've all reviewed them. Any discussion? All in favor? I'll second it, and then all in favor?
Aye. That's the way we run it. Oh, that Craig guy is gone.
No discussion. All right. The next item we have is the Hampden and Wilbraham Partners for Choice, but they couldn't make it this evening, so that's been postponed. Which brings us to the Academy Hall and Garden Club discussion. Connie, which?
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, and we have Linda here from the Historical Society as well.
These are some things that still haven't been done. We use CPA money to fix the fire escape, which was very rickety. And anyway,
Do you have a copy for Linda as well, since they've been, their group has been helping fund some of the shortfalls as well?
the first thing on the list, and I think it's kind of important, and this is new, I plugged in the coffee urn in an outlet in the kitchen at Academy Hall on May 15th or whenever we had a meeting. And there were sparks. And I really think somebody ought to just have somebody look at the electrical.
Okay.
There needs to be a new exterior light, and I'm thinking a motion sensor light for the fire escape. There's no bulb in that, and I'm not even sure it works.
I'm not a real fan of those motion detector ones outside. You don't know
I
what's
know,
gonna set them off, and you got the neighbors and
deer comes, yeah.
so.
But the thing
But to put a new
is,
bulb in, sure.
it has to be something that will come on. The switch to the outside light is kind of behind a bookcase.
The one, and I see a quick glance at the list here, and the first thing that comes to my mind, the same thing probably comes to Brian and Don. This is what the facilities manager would do.
You
Somebody
read my
who
mind. You read my mind.
Yeah, first thing, you know, like, somebody in charge of upgrade and maintenance at town buildings. This would be the list that that person would take over.
That's fine. Things that were said that were supposed to be completed along with the fire escape project. There was to be a chain at the bottom of the fire escape.
I don't recall that. I don't recall that.
It's just like a plastic chain that you can unhook in a second, but something to deter people from going up those stairs.
I'd have to go back, but I don't recall that ever being mentioned. The big thing was obviously going, unless it was set to Larry, but not in front of the board. Larry was the one helping us with the design on that. The sill, I thought the sill got
Yes, Larry
done.
and I did talk about
Right.
that,
I
but
thought the sill got done. No, still not? Okay,
that needs to be done. I mean,
Sure.
rodents can get in there, bugs get in there. It's very difficult to replace a whole.
what do you mean by granite steps at the bottom of the big block, basically? You're looking for basically steps
Okay.
down from the block?
You need steps down from the block, and you certainly don't want wooden ones because you'll be constantly replacing them.
Sure. You know that block, that's gotta be a
Yeah,
good
yeah,
2-foot step up onto the thing. All right, yeah.
And there should be iron railings on that platform so that people don't topple over the side of it.
Well, they're certainly not gonna fall into the driveway now that we put that nice fence up, right, Tom?
Well, you hope they wouldn't, but I'm telling you, kids can do some pretty crazy things.
All right, how bad is the garage door?
The garage door, the casings, and I don't know about the frame, but the casings around the door are rotting. And the garage door is really old. I don't believe it's insulated. And you have all of that, the water equipment down there. And there is space for rodents to get in on the bottom and water. So I'm just suggesting that you might want a new insulated garage door there.
I will say, so Brian, what's our current status on the facilities person? Somebody where, obviously the new year starts in a month, and that's budgeted in the new year, and so we're,
So we received about,
was it 40?
yeah, we asked for 70,000 so that we could try to hire a full-time facilities manager. And that was reduced to 40,000
Right.
by advisory, and that's what was approved at town meeting. So we'll have to have a discussion about how we want to pursue filling that position. But I agree with you, this is exactly the kind of stuff that we want to do in-house, so that we don't have to pay premiums to,
Sure.
pay a licensed carpenter or, something like that, where we're going to pay all this extra money.
All right. So we have a game plan going forward, obviously.
Anyway, that's, how much is left in the Academy Hall maintenance account? I think it's 15,000 is the,
It's never been 15,000. Typically, it's around 4 to 5, and that pays for the electricity. It was bumped up years ago to pay for the extra cost of running the well.
right.
Yeah,
So if you have money left over from that, you could spend that now.
sure.
And,
We can knock off a couple of these things here out of that, sure.
yeah.
But again, I think this is an excellent, as Brian said, this is an excellent use of what we talked about, the fact that we need an overall examination of our buildings, how we,
Absolutely.
So-
And I've been saying that for years.
and I think, we are posting that job. If you want to put your name in, that's fine.
If I was 20 years younger, John, I'd be happy to do it
All right.
for less than $7,000. But you do need other people
Yeah.
going around with this person, because one person doesn't know the drain in the cellar floor to make sure that that's clean. I don't know when the last time was that it was clean, but we're coming into hurricane season
Yeah.
and lots of
Well,
water.
I'd say the one thing I would look at this list and say I'd like to attend to right now, rather than wait for this guy, would be get somebody over to look at the electrical thing. I hate to think of like somebody plugging in and seeing a spark where their grounds come loose or something like that. So perhaps we can reach out to Hobie and he can help us with that, Brian.
Which plug, Connie, did you notice? Was
If
it
you-
by the telephone?
It's
or by
on
the
it's on the
refrigerator?
south side,
On the kitchen counter, you said?
where you serve people, not where the sink counter is.
So the opening and the thing?
It's on the west side, southwest side.
All right, well, like I say, Hobie can perhaps get the electrical inspector over and do a little test, maybe the grounds come loose, something like that. But to me, that's the priority one here to
And
look
you
at
check
right
all
now.
of the outlets while he's there.
Of course.
I mean, it just takes a second to plug them in and see.
I don't know if they have
just plug
electrical
it in.
today or something.
That's the whole.
So that takes care of Academy Hall.
Great, all right, thanks for coming in.
Oh, wait,
Oh, geez.
second thing. Second thing is garden club, and I don't know where Lil is. Lil Fedora, our president, is going to be here, but I guess I should have called her before. So anyway, we just had two things, and it's nothing that we're complaining about or anything. Isn't that nice? But we're kind of outgrowing Academy Hall. We have 50 members, about 50 members, maybe 52, I'm not sure. And the capacity there's an awful lot of stuff around, and there isn't room for 50 chairs. We have 40 regular chairs and then 10 that I think were in the townhouse originally, wooden chairs. And it isn't enough seating. We have standing room only. And it's very crowded. So we will be looking for a space, whether it would, not this year because we already have our program set for Academy Hall, but next year, the townhouse, TWB, someplace,
I guess,
maybe.
I'm not understanding, so the garden club has meetings inside Academy Hall,
Yes,
and the chairs that are in there belong to the garden club?
20 of the chairs, the new chairs with padded seats.
Like
For
these?
us old folks, yes. They're not exactly like this, but similar. 20 of those chairs belong to the garden club and 20 belong to the historical society.
Okay.
Years ago, we chipped in and bought the chairs together. We bought 40 chairs. And then there are the wooden chairs that
Got
we,
basically hand-me-downs from over here, right?
It
Yeah.
used to be our chairs.
Yes, exactly, hand-me-downs, if you will, yeah. So those are all stored over there.
yes. And we use those to the extent that we can. I mean, you have to leave some room for people to get out.
Well, I've been over there for events, and I think you do a good job of, depending on if it's a speaker or whatever, lines up pretty well. So you're saying in the future, you,
Next year that we would be looking for another space. The police department told us that we could use the room that they have for their little
Training room.
training room, but I don't think it's big enough.
I think it's smaller than what you have over
Yeah,
there.
it's
Yeah.
smaller. But I mean, with 50 members now, with people coming and standing room only, I mean,
Right, but I mean, how often do you meet?
once a month.
Huh. Well, these are all things going to be discussed as we get into the plan for how to
Just-
utilize the
this is just
school.
to keep you updated.
But I think one of the things you need to consider, as Donna said before, that once the move goes to Thornton Burgess, the utilization of this building is definitely up in the air, both from an
I
insurance
understand
standpoint
that.
and basically a maintenance standpoint. So I don't think that'll be
Well,
something.
I'm
we do.
just saying,
No.
you know, that's it. We're just outgrowing our space.
That's a good thing. That's terrific.
Well, we
And a
might,
great job at the plant sale, by the way, at Memorial Day.
We did
There'll be
quite
community
well.
meeting space, yes.
yeah, it's gonna
Saw the
cost-
people lined up outside before the starting gate, you know, like incredible. The guards all around the place, you know, making sure the hydrangeas weren't taken, like,
As long as they do the gardening outside.
We had over 100 people come through the museum.
did you?
Oh, that's good.
Terrific, good. I know I
And
saw you sitting outside guarding it, there we go.
I just sat there. I hardly did anything this year.
Good. All right, so we'll get,
The other thing.
there's another
Garden
thing?
Club is we would like to participate in the town's 150th anniversary. And we'd like to be, you know, maybe a part of whatever committee to help with what we do best.
Grow things?
Huh?
Grow things? No.
Well, whatever.
Well, a few years away, but yes, as Don said before, after town meeting, we were going to get into, and now, of course, we have a new member coming on, so we're waiting for that, get into starting to look to form a committee. Now that we put, and I forget, we passed on one, but it's at least 20, if not 30,000 put aside. And now start getting that committee
That
together.
much?
Oh, we've appropriated twice at
Oh,
least.
that's good.
And now that committee can start looking for corporate, for state, for grants, things like that.
Well, and also, I'm sure for like lining up bands,
Yeah.
like the Kilty Band or whatever, those I'm assuming would need really advanced notice.
Oh, for sure. I mean, if we want to get the governor here, you got to give her, 2 or 3 years' notice.
Well, Richie Neal too. You want to invite
Oh,
Richie Neal?
that's so true. I'll have Don take care of that.
Yeah.
You talk every night, right?
I'll talk to him.
barely speak. Yes,
Okay.
I would call
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. All right, great. We got you on the list.
that's it,
Enjoy.
him.
okay?
Can I just,
All right, thank you. Thank you. Oh,
the town owns the building,
correct.
the Historical
Society.
Society manages the building?
Yeah,
They do?
yes.
I don't know, I'm trying to figure it out, they manage the building, and the historical commission does what in the
It has
building?
nothing to do with it.
Okay, so you're here at the garden club
Right.
who uses it, okay.
Yep. Heck, I think the
And thank you
Scannick
very much
Riders
for
used to
letting
use
us
it, had
use it.
meetings and stuff there.
Excuse
Scannick
me?
Riders had meetings there when they didn't have meetings here. It's been a meetings place for different.
They used to have showers
Sure.
and everything there, but you couldn't do that now.
Yeah,
No.
You just,
so it's a great community space,
it's a mess.
and we need to keep it up, and thank you for that list, very helpful.
All right, good, thanks, Connie.
Thanks, Connie.
Yep.
Thanks, Linda, too. Police chief, search discussion. How goes the search? Find anybody yet?
Oh, yeah, we're all set, yeah, I hired somebody today. Just kidding,
Really?
yeah.
How are we gonna proceed on this? Do we want to, I mean, I know we got a new select board member coming.
Right.
But you're still talking, that's eating up 2 weeks, I mean, the current chief is leaving
Right.
the
Although
17th.
he was willing to serve as interim during discussion, which there's some advantage, because that interim person was not interested in taking over the job, which I always think is it's a tough thing to,
If you
because
put
that person
something-
thinks they have a leg up.
Right, and everyone who's applying thinks he has a leg up, too.
Exactly.
It may
So
discourage some from applying.
Although Scott did share that he has a planned vacation as well, but,
But even so, he would be on vacation anyhow. You know, he would go on vacation during the summer anyhow.
Yep.
And one of the sergeants would be in charge. Right?
yeah.
But we're only gonna have one sergeant, we only got two sergeants, we got a new sergeant.
And then we're,
if the guy's
well, we
taking
have
the
three,
fifth,
actually now for another 2 weeks, basically, yeah.
right.
We talked about this briefly before, that we've seen a lot of turnover at the department, and is it time to bring somebody else in to bring us some guidance? And I think there are opportunities for that, and I think that's something we should definitely task the town administrator to give us some options on what happens there. Scott did talk about that before, there are different groups that provide these type of things, but I think,
Kind of like we did for the search for the town administrator.
exactly, you know. Now, they may come back, and it may turn back to the person sitting in front of you the whole time, might be, but it's due diligence, and this isn't a one-year job we're looking for, we're looking to fill somebody who wants to make a career out of this.
What do you have to say?
So there's, I think, two different discussions happening. One is, so we get the first meeting of the new board member that gets elected is gonna be June 30th,
24th.
or we're gonna be after?
Yeah, we're gonna be.
I'll push back the day.
Yeah, just go on
Okay,
the next day.
so then we'll get him the 24th, we'll get him or her the 24th. And so the chief's retiring
July 17th,
2 weeks after that?
yeah, July 17th.
So-
And the current sergeant's retiring July 5th.
So I guess the first question is, to me, it seems like that's too short of a window to try to replace the chief. It's essentially a week and a half,
Right.
2 weeks. So what would the board want to do in terms of, do you want an interim chief? But
I think
after
you have to-
July 17th,
Yes, you have to have,
I
Give us
think you have to
time
have an
to-
interim chief.
because it'll give it time for the search to happen. So then the question is, how do we want to go about finding that person?
Is the current chief going to appoint the new sergeant and the new officer? All right,
I believe so.
right?
I believe so.
So whoever the new chief is will have, that'll be his team, right? I think we need an interim chief. And I think we should talk to the current chief about the way we could work it out, that he'd stay on the interim.
Okay.
And in the meantime, look for a chief search firms and see what they want, for money and time.
Yeah.
you know, how long they think it would take.
Okay.
Because it is a little bit of a compressed time frame, and we need to.
Well, it is and it isn't. I mean, if we're fortunate enough to get Scott to agree to be interim chief, that allows us more latitude in bringing somebody in.
So he's gonna have to figure that out with his retirement, because he only can work a certain amount of hours and make a certain amount of money.
Right.
So we're gonna have to have a contract to that effect.
I thought, wasn't it 900 hours or something like that? Bob was limited,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we should be pretty good shape. Although he was in a different retirement, he wasn't a county retirement, it was a different, he was in a different retirement
He
system.
was a different retirement system.
Suffolk, something like that.
No, he was in Essex County retirement system.
Essex, not the Hampden one, so.
No, but it's the
None of them
same, it's the
different.
same, it's the
Really?
same, yeah,
Okay.
it's the same everywhere. Because it's a state law.
No, we're not gonna give him per diem for using his house or anything, right?
No.
I know the Hampden County where it works.
So I'll reach out to Scott, see if he explore his interest in
All right,
meeting as interim.
and you'll see what search companies are out there
Yeah,
for this type of thing.
Again,
You can send a list
I
from
think-
Mass Chiefs.
I mean, him saying he was willing to act as, I think, takes a little pressure off us to,
Yeah.
you know, to make sure we get it done right.
I mean, this is a long-term thing. You're getting a new chief, you're getting a new sergeant, we just put a new sergeant, then we're getting a new officer,
New detective,
new detective.
right. Figure out the IT thing,
Figure out the IT, we gotta get a replacement there or do something with
and they'll
that,
probably want a new car.
right?
Brian's got thoughts about that.
But you said they go 100,000 now, right?
I heard Hatfield,
What you heard?
they wouldn't trade 140 and they were fine.
163.
Yeah,
Put the red one back in service?
All right, that's a plan for now.
okay,
Question back here.
Can I just
Yes.
say something?
yeah,
Please, regard to Academy Hall. I know that the step has to be replaced, but if I could have some notice, we have a lot of new memorabilia upstairs, so if I know when they're coming to replace the step, I could get up there and move everything out of the way.
oh, that's close to the door, you mean, stuff like that? Okay,
Yeah.
sure. All right, when we line somebody up to do it, and we'll make sure we coordinate with you.
All right, thank
Great.
you.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
All right, so we're passing on the open.
we're passing on the next item on the agenda would be the police union request to reopen the contract, and they've asked if we could defer that until a time later, which was just fine with us. Parks and Rec Summer Program.
Great.
All right,
Hang on, is
Finn is on, Finn is on.
Yep.
Finn is on,
do a split screen? No, can show them, okay.
there he is. Can you show him?
What's this one? Can you
know
do a
what,
different
zoom in
view of the
You don't get the,
Zoom
I
screen?
don't know that one.
In the upper right view?
you don't do the portrait thing? Yeah.
Okay,
Gallery.
gallery,
Yeah,
okay.
There you go.
there we go.
There he is.
Sure. You can just leave it like that, that's good.
Sorry.
Why does he have that?
Finn, you look frozen, except for the fact the fan's moving. Okay, there you go.
Why is
Yeah,
it-
we can see the fan moving.
Why is it-
So I'll provide some background information on this real quick, I guess. I had.
This is the board, oh, excuse me.
Okay.
This is Board of Health, Chair.
So, yeah, so we have Park and Rec before us, and we have Julie, we have Dan, we have the health aid. Ben, I'm good.
Hey.
There's a question about, some question from the state about different oversights of community camps, if you will. Not that Hampton hasn't had the camp in place for, you probably
Program.
It's a program.
understand that, for 30 years. You probably, I was gonna say, my ex-wife started the program back in, gosh, the 80s, 90s. So, but there's been some new guidance about how the program is supposed to be overseen. And Finn shared some with me, I think he chatted with you as well, or Dan chatted with you.
Yeah, Jim.
And just to make sure that we're all in the proper place and that the state's not gonna come in and say we're doing something wrong, and then, because we have a program that people have enjoyed for years. Before you came here, and I think some of the programs that you put in place, Dan, that show how much people love the program Park and Rec does in town. You know, not sure about the, giving these little tiny kids sticks to hit each other in lax program, you know.
It's our number one program.
Great,
Kids love hitting each other.
exactly.
So yeah, just a little background. Lily Judah, the health inspector, came in my office. We were talking about food truck licensing and such. And she kind of was honing in on our summer program and wanting to call it a camp. And that's sort of what started this whole thing. And the state has certain regulations for what they consider to be a camp and if they need to be licensed. So we've sort of been operating under the assumption of those, of the, I gotta get law here, Mass General Law 105 CMR 430, which is basically a whole list of who's required to be licensed and the requirements for licensure. So in reviewing those documents, we have, the board and I have, you know, kind of looked at those, and there's a lot of exemptions in those that we feel like we fall under, so that we don't need to be licensed with the state. That being said, we do follow 95% of the things that are in this packet from the state. So it's just the coordinating and the red tape, if you will, of having to have it licensed with the state would probably shut the program down, because it's very substantial about documentation and things that need to be done. So I don't know if you want me to go through why I think we're exempt, or how you guys want to proceed, or.
Please.
Do you have any of this for us to see? I
Sure.
don't.
So can I share my screen? Can I share my,
Yeah.
disabled?
Go back to view.
Green share. Speaker.
What is it? Brian?
I should also state,
Wants to be able to share a screen.
I should also state, we had Finn come out to our meeting. We've already had a discussion at one of our Parks and Rec meetings too. So this is kind of the culmination of that.
I see Finn's got the Elon Musk look, all black.
Can't go with the blue.
Can I request?
Fans drive
You
me
need
crazy.
the- you need the-
Fans drive
you
me
need the-
crazy.
You need the hat, Finn.
It says host disabled participant screen sharing, Brian?
It's like a Russians.
Who can share? Let's try that. How about now?
Yep.
All right.
All right, so. All right, so the first document here, this is the, let me move this so it's out of my way. Well, you guys can see it fine. It's the 105 CMR 430. This is the document that basically says who needs to be licensed, why they need to be licensed, and all of the things required for licensure. So the real part here that we're interested in is on page 3, under the scope of this, okay? And so right here in this section, it said, provided it is not promoted or advertised as a camp, none of the following shall be required to comply with this document. So since I've been here, in my history and research that I've done since this whole discussion, I have not found that we've ever referenced this as a camp. It's always been a summer program. And right under that it says, none of the following shall be required to comply. Single-purpose classes, workshops, clinics, or programs sponsored by municipal recreation departments. So that's our first feeling of why we feel like we're exempt. The next part is under the definitions on page 6. One more page, and this says right here, this is kind of what defines as a recreational camp. This is what they decide, if you are defined as a recreational camp, you need to be licensed. So under this, it says, any day resident sports, travel, or trip camp conducted wholly or in part by recreation instruction which operates for profit. Right there, we do not operate for profit. We are a nonprofit. And then the second part of that, again, it comes back to any person or entity, again, this is that it advertises itself as a camp. We have not advertised ourselves as a camp, so again, we feel like we're exempt from this. I have one more thing to share here. Obviously, the state has had some issues regarding that document that I just showed you, because they issued this advisory here, clarification of, oh, it's not showing you guys, hold on, do I have to share this separately?
Yeah, it wasn't pulled up before.
Yeah, you have to share something.
Sorry, here we go. That should be coming. clarification of recreational camp licensing exemption for programs sponsored by municipal recreation departments. Sponsored means that that all of the employees of the program are employees of the town of Hampden. We issue them a W-2. That's what their definition of sponsored means here. And what we're really interested in here is on this first part. Let me find it here, department, as new, oh, yeah, where is it? Department. This exemption applies to single-purpose classes, workshops, clinics, or programs sponsored by municipal recreation departments. That's us. The other part that that we can fall back on here is, well, we'll go back down here. The department interprets the specified MGL for programs sponsored by municipal regulation to apply when one program is operated by a city or town department and run by employees hired by the city or town. That is us. That's the sponsorship that they're talking about. The other interesting thing in here that we can look at is, and maybe
It's a little bit.
right here, this part right here, Rich. While the advisory clarifies the department's interpretation of this exemption, the decision as to whether any particular programs must be licensed as a recreational camp for children must be made by the municipal recreation department, us, and I think we've already kind of determined based on our discussions that we feel like we are exempt, and the Board of Health. So that's sort of what we discussed with Finn at our meeting when he came to join our meeting, and he was gonna go to the state, and I'm curious if he's heard anything from the state. He had some, because of how the program is structured, that was his biggest hang up about, oh, I'll let him speak about it. He's here, I won't put words in his mouth, so. But that's kind of how we've been operating under those assumptions.
Was he muted?
Can you hear me now?
Yep. Oh, do you want to
Hi. Yeah, thanks. So I guess what this kind of, boiled down to, for me, I guess the, it's that, it's really, it's considered a camp if there's multiple activities, I guess, going on throughout the day, which you had mentioned that there is. So that's essentially was the definition of what makes you a camp. It's that crucial limitation. It has to have it has to be a single purpose activity. So like a clinic or a soccer clinic, which is what we kind of discussed at the parks meeting. I did reach out to the state, to two contacts of the state, have not heard back from them. I know that this was kind of a topic of discussion the past couple of years. It always comes up, right before the camp season. And the state, the way they, kind of phrased it is that it has to be a single purpose activity to be considered, or to even be considered as exempt. And then it gives that the extra step there where, if they're the town employees or town sponsored, it can be part of it. But I'm almost positive well, I know that it's up to the town to decide if they want them to be licensed or not. And it does come down to it is safer essentially to have the camp license through the Board of Health. It is more stringent. There is more stuff they'd have to do. And, the last thing I'd want to do would be to have the camp shut down for, this year or any year. But it's really something that is hard to overlook from my position. I because the exemption is specifically for single purpose classes or workshops and clinical programs, not for a comprehensive summer activities or programs. That's why we brought it up to the board now to kind of take a look at it and see what they think on this situation.
If we were to issue waivers, Finn,
Mhm.
who's liable? The board, the town of Hampden, or?
Yeah, I mean, the town, it's, yeah, the town would be, it makes the town liable if there was, you know, an accident or something that was, that happens, that would have potentially been prevented with the extra, steps, safety precautions required by the state code. Although I know it was mentioned, you do follow 90% of it, as you mentioned. But it does just leave the town open to that possibility, and it might be worth something
There's the,
to have, town council potentially weigh on, because it's not the clearest document, but in, the trainings that I've been through with the state, they've definitely said to other towns that, yes, that's considered a camp. But it is up to the municipality to kind of, that call.
I think the way I look at it is we're kind of looking at two issues. One is this year, we have camp that's gonna start in less than 1 month, and then what the long-term decision is gonna be. He had mentioned the possibility of not running our summer program this year. To me, it doesn't seem possible for us to
That's
go
not,
back to
that's
those
not
parents and tell
possible.
them they don't have programming for their children for 6 weeks
Sure.
versus the camp. So I think for me,
Program.
program, sorry, now we're using the word camp.
I know,
so much.
it got me too, it's got me too.
But yes, I guess to me, I think we need to very much look at it as two issues. What are we gonna do for this year? And then what's the long-term decision moving forward if we're going to ultimately look at licensing as a necessary evil?
If it comes down to licensure, it's done, we won't do it anymore. We don't have the staff and the hours to do what this document requires. I mean, they regulate the craft supplies that can be used at the program. That's one of the 10% that we, or the 5% that we don't do. We don't regulate what the craft items are that can be used, but Finn, you've seen the document, that you don't think we fall under these exemptions?
Yeah, so after, I know that this document, it's essentially, it was, their DPH's interpretation, right? It's even single-purpose programs are only exempt if they are staffed by the municipality. So it's, and that there's no, third party involved, all those other things, but it was just like another layer, I guess, of requirements beyond the statute already. So it was even shutting down more of the unlicensed, single purpose summer activities. So I'm trying to explain it, but I guess it's adding onto the existing code already that spells out what the camp is. So it's not replacing anything else. It's essentially making it more stringent.
Well, I mean, clearly it's been a camp for a number of years, going back to, when you went, or whichever, my kids too. It's referred to in the town reports as the Memorial Park Summer Camp, and the camp.
All the reports I've done,
Well, I looked up 3 on my phone while you were talking, and they all say it.
that's before me.
Huh?
Yep, go ahead.
Town report, now, that's just the town report referred to, the park commissioners, camp director, care of Equality, yada, yada, and Gene Beninkowitz, et cetera. But going forward, is there a way we can make it work out? Because this is something that the town's kids have enjoyed for years. How can we protect the town, but still give the Parks Department the ability to run this, which has been successful? The multiple thing, and I go back to what was changed a few years back, where each week had a theme, and that was changed. How does that not make?
Still do that.
How does that not make that single purpose as opposed to that multiple thing they talk about?
So the single purpose, they say is like, if someone shows up and they're there just to do soccer drills or just there to play basketball, as soon as they add in even a lunch, it becomes multi-purpose.
Oh, that's
You're
bullshit.
shitting, that's correct.
That's bullshit.
Can't have a snack.
I know. I don't make the regs, okay? It's,
Brian-
that's, this,
Brian's been to 1,000 soccer
hate-
camps, and they always have water breaks and stuff like that.
yeah.
I
it's-
think, there's a way we can, because if you're still doing that, like, week 5 was theater, and week 4 was this or whatever, we can call those weeks single-purpose things and
Yeah,
waive
but-
this lunch part there.
But go back to that single purpose.
CMR one?
Yeah,
No?
yeah. Single purpose says, provided it is not promoted as advertised as a camp, none of the following shall be required to comply with it. A single purpose classes, comma, workshops, not required, commas, clinics, comma, programs sponsored by municipal recreation departments.
That's what I'm saying, those single things, I think we portray it as that, we're all set.
Yeah, I would, I'd recommend, I guess, consulting with maybe, town council, just because that
I want the programmation.
that advisory is another layer on top of what, it's like, that's restricting what these single purpose, program camps are, so it's, it's just an extra layer, so you already are falling in with, because you already are considered a camp.
Would you agree that they allow the Board of Health in the town and the park to decide?
That's what.
I mean, it's not a, binding regulation, but it does carry, some significant weight, especially with like insurance, considerations with the,
I mean, every summer program participant signs our waiver that says we're, not liable. I mean, every single one signs that. I know, but I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
but the first thing, yeah, they use that to put the phone on top when they call the lawyer, so it's, it's a good thing to do, but you know what I mean, as a parent, they're gonna exhaust whatever they can. I'd like to see some way we can make this work out. Do you think it's worthwhile reaching out to Rose and see if we can get a quick opinion? Do you have, Dan, you're part of like a state organization, have anybody else, I mean, can you, broadcast a little message or something?
Well, there are municipalities that are doing summer programs, and there are municipalities that are doing summer camps.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the percentage is, but I know in my Pioneer Valley Parks and Rec Association, there are multiple municipalities that are doing summer programs, not summer camps. They are not licensed.
So if we're saying Parks and Rec is putting on programs and single-purpose programs for 5, 6 weeks straight, one per thing, they're not under these regulations because they're not a camp.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if it's, as long as we not advertising it as a camp, limit, if it's possible, you could limit to, truly single purpose activities. I don't know if that's really possible.
Anything's possible.
Yeah, all the staff is, there are municipal employees.
No, he's gonna go to his computer right now, do a word search for the word camp and delete it from every place.
I've
that's
already
in
done that. The only place I found it was in a newspaper, well, for me, was in a newspaper article by Wolverhampton Hampden Times, like, I don't know, 3 years ago, and it was them referencing it as a camp, not us.
Yeah, you have to go back. Like I said, it's been around forever, you have to go back, like in town reports forever. So if we're gonna say then that
Mr.
it's
Chairman,
programs.
I move that the Parks and Recreation summer program be designated as such.
Any discussion? Second, any discussion?
No, you're the chairman, no discussion.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
What happened to the PowerPoint?
Thanks.
Well, I shared my
Thank you,
screen,
Finn.
that's the best I could do. And we have a meeting tomorrow night, and we'll probably do it, we haven't voted on that, but we'll do a vote as well at our meeting as well.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Finn.
Are you chair now? No. Drew straws, you lost? Yeah, that's weird. No.
All right,
All right, great.
let's take care of the next tragedy. Oh, you're still.
Oh, yeah, so I have some permits here we are looking to, apparently there's some more food things coming, and this is your favorite, Don. On Juneteenth, batch ice cream will be coming to Thornton Burgess.
Yep.
How do you feel about that?
I'll try an ice cream.
Ask for a sample. I'd like to try that one. I need to try this one.
That one wasn't bad. What about that one?
Bring your cookies and say, hey, can you put it right on here? I want to try it with this cookie.
Okay, motion to approve a one-day permit for batch ice cream at the Rockin' the Summer.
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
We also have a request for a permit to operate a swimming pool at the former Mercury, and now it's called Giggle Gardens Childcare.
So moved.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
I mean, no, you say it.
aye.
Go ahead.
Wow, it was better when it was Mercury. Giggle Gardens. How many food things are you gonna have, Dan?
There'll be 3. We have
That's it?
Ferrandino coming. Yeah, that's
Oh, yeah.
it. It's more about the music and hanging. You can bring your picnic if you want.
Yep,
We have Ferrandino coming.
kind of like a Fern Valley thing almost?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we have batch ice cream, and then for a little more reasonable option, Mountain View is doing burgers and dogs and chips and sodas for
I
us.
did, it's a fall fest, okay, great. All right, disposal work installer, they did not sign it, but R. Cox Enterprises from Brimfield would like to be licensed to be disposal work installing for the balance of the year, and they paid the $50.
We love them. So moved. So moved.
Sign 'em up.
No prorating, pay the whole thing, thank you, all in favor? Aye. Lori, no, it's not.
You know, here.
How come they didn't sign there?
Pardon?
They don't sign that before we sign normally?
That's just the permit for our books, you guys are aware. They sign the underneath sheet when they fill it out.
Well, let's say applicant signature, but, okay, throw it over to Ron, I guess. We have a request for entertainment license, that's you, dude. Entertainment licenses,
I got the entertainment light.
yeah.
Yeah, you have it. It's orange.
Oh, look at that.
Finally,
A request
color.
for an entertainment license. The applicant is the Hampden Parks and Recreation, and for July 16th through August 6th. What a party. 6th and
We actually have-
20th. This is for movie, this is a movie night?
Movie night.
I looked into that before, when we used to do the movie nights up at the park. We bought this screen, we put it up against the backstop, and then we got one entertainment license for the whole year at that time. We didn't go for individual ones. So we granted Parks and Rec, because they're also doing the movie nights here and the thing, so we gave them a blanket one-year license.
That's a 1 year?
No, that's the dates, but you should ask for a whole year.
Yeah, I think I would like to get just an entertainment license year-round for all my events, if that's possible, so I don't have to be at all.
Yeah, I think it's a lot easier. That's what it used to be.
Okay.
Now, what are you gonna do about the sound?
So I'm going to use your speakers that are up here that were in the parade as well. So it Bluetooths to the projector, which also has Dolby Surround on it. We just got a new one. And then we'll have the 2 speakers Bluetooth to that, so it should be pretty good.
What are you using for a
You're not
screen?
gonna hook the little,
We bought a 15-foot screen.
Okay, we used to have the one where all the metal, we had to snap it all together and then snap the big canvas one on.
It's not super easy, but it's a
Yeah.
little better than that.
Yeah.
It goes on a pole, and then we put the pole on the top of the 2 tripod stands.
Okay.
you're gonna have the little speaker thing that hooks onto your
The car,
car
I
window.
go way
we're not
back,
putting cars on the field.
like the old Parkway. Parkway, was
Put
it?
if your car's there before they set up.
Yeah.
In the outfield or something, yeah, park them there. Now, the money they spend taking care of that, you're not driving on that field.
That's right.
I make a motion to grant Park and Rec a entertainment license for the balance of year 2025. Yeah, with waiving the fee.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. So we'll get that retyped and re-sign it.
Oh, yeah, okay, I gotta retype it. Cancel it down on there.
We'll use the
Worth money
signature for something
sometime, or
else.
it can't. Like a Lincoln signature or something.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
Remember those things, they put those little silver boxes on there?
man, nobody remembers that stuff. Brian and I have been chatting, and Lori have been talking about a review of the transfer station. We did a update a few weeks back, raising the permit fee, going over the analysis of the past few years. The enterprise fund is a losing money proposition. Even though it doesn't have to turn a profit, the costs have been going up, as we talked about before. We're on a 3-year contract with McNamara. We have another year to go. Those costs, the hauling tipping charges, will be going up. We have not adjusted our revenue stream to offset that enough. We did raise the permit fees, but as Brian has shown in his little recap, that's a small component of the money coming in. For the year now, a shortfall in the enterprise fund has been taken care of on the recap sheet that sets free cash in the past couple of years. To take care of next year, and Lori will be pulling up what we're contract assigned for, honestly, we're gonna need a substantial increase in the bag charge. Brian showed a typical projection of what each 25-cent increment would do in the bags. And I think we have to be looking at the $3 to $4 one at least, and the $1.50 to $2.50. That showing a projected surplus of 2,800, I don't think it'll be accurate, because I don't think it takes into account what the increase in the contract at Max Brown.
This is just to meet the budgeted expenses
Right.
of FY '26,
But I
so.
don't think that may, so I would like the board to raise the large bag charge to $4 for a bag, a packet, and the small bag charge from $1.50 to $2.50 per bag. That column there, that technically might give us. And then we're gonna have to recap, I think, in November, looking at Laura's gonna pull out the contract, look at the tipping charge. A couple of things we wanna look at as well, for instance, some of the expenses that are in there, for instance, for the containers, might be something the town might try and offset a different way and bring it to a reduction. This being the last year, I think, of the contract, definitely something next year we're gonna go out and bid again.
What if we reduce the hours?
I think
Didn't like not have it on Tuesdays.
I think you get a pretty good pushback on that. I think a lot of people like the Tuesday thing, yeah. And opening at 8 o'clock, and people are lined up at 8 o'clock, ready to go in there. Yeah. Yeah. You can put most of your best work done up there on Saturday,
I
Don.
do. You took it a lot of. Yes,
Can I point out, we only went up on the senior stickers, it wasn't across the board.
No, because we thought the other one was, pretty good at this time, but
so we're
I
going,
think
the suggestion is seniors
no, the bags
bag,
Bags go to, from 3 to 4 per bag, and from $1.50 to $2.50 for the small bag. You've got some research done on the cost of the stickers. Sticker, it does bring in money, but it is in terms of the revenue, the sticker price compared to the actual bag charge, which is, weekly.
Bag is constant.
And right now would be, because you're already started into the sticker season, that would be kind of tough to accommodate.
so the stickers are gonna stay $70,
70 and 35, yep.
70 and 35.
Yep.
Now, I'd like to point out that I know that Wilbraham, these stickers are $1.30 and $1.10.
For the regular, right. They're high quality of garbage, I believe they told us that.
Still can't fund it. What was that?
And that's gonna bring us to what? Hopefully, now, have you factored in, anytime you raise the price, you're gonna get
No, that's what I'm saying, we're gonna go through the kind and see what, it may need, hopefully that'll get us to a point where in the fall, at the fall town meeting, we might need to increase that 15
Yeah,
to say 20 or 22, and then get us back to an even footing.
and then we get the contract coming up, we can figure out
Right.
after that.
Right.
Well, the other thing we want to avoid too is that if it gets too pricey, it's all gonna end up in the woods.
Right, yeah. The other thing for the transfer.
We'll really be attracting bears, you know?
So basically, I'd like a motion to increase the bag charge effective July 1, for $40 for a bag of 10, right?
Yeah,
Okay, the large bags, you can go to 40, it should be exactly, see, the large bags and the small bag is exactly half of a large. So it has to be.
third. The large ones are 33 gallons, the small one is 10 gallons, I think.
But right now, it's $30 for a bag of 10,
So if you
right?
go to
So I want to go to 40.
$10 jump to be,
So, and then we want the small bags to be 20 for a bag of 10.
They're 15 now, right?
yeah, that's only going, you're gonna go up 10 on the big bags and 5 on the small.
Well, yeah, but you said it was half the size, so it seemed like it should be half the price.
Right now, they're appropriated 30 and 15.
Right, because it's twice as big a bag as the other
Should
one.
be 10.
Well, no, is it a 15 or is it a 13 gallon?
It's $15 for the.
No, the size of the bag,
It's 10 gallon.
10 gallon, so we might as well go,
Both the same, shouldn't we?
yeah.
That's what we
But to
had.
get to where we need to be 40 and 25. Right. So I'd entertain a motion to raise the bag charge to 40 for the large bags and 25 for the small bags.
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye,
So what's the per bag cost?
$4
I'm
and
clear.
$2.50.
$4.
That was your column, middle column there.
All right, just make sure.
The other thing up at the transfer station is the platform. Don, you've been up there
Yeah,
before,
yeah,
okay?
yeah.
So we got a quote of labor to fix the platform of roughly $8,400. It requires $4,000 in material, which Mark can buy, but basically just, it's not replacing the whole thing. Basically, the plates are bad, and then a little work on the structure underneath. Paying for it, obviously, we know the enterprise fund a little under. I would ask the board to consider asking the reserve fund for a transfer into highway maintenance. I did talk to Doug, they haven't spent any of it so far, the 25K.
But aren't we gonna need it for the elections and,
There's other places, I'm sure, but we're gonna need some of it for, what I talked to Brian about, we don't have any money for the spring town meeting AV.
right?
We took the fall town meeting out of selectmen expenses, but I think it was 8,000 roughly.
Yeah.
So if we do 8 and 12, we'll take 20 basically out of the 25 reserve.
How much are we,
We need to cover 8 out of, Selectmen's expenses is at 8, right now?
but aren't we overspent already?
I think that includes that.
That includes
I
that?
think so.
Sorry, the other thing that Mark and I talked about is that because of other circumstances, there are gonna be some surpluses in some accounts in the highway department that could possibly be transferred,
Okay,
right, which could help.
all right, so what,
But either way, we'd like to at least get the order done for the material so that we can get that repaired, because everyone has.
it's pretty bad, it's getting
Yeah.
pretty bad
Right.
there, yeah.
You okay with that?
I don't want Dennis falling into the,
There's that liability again.
so move.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye, okay.
Yes, Lori?
That price up, Brian, is correct, 10 and a 5 on the bag prices. So it would be going up to what, 40 and 20? You are correct, Brian, correct?
I think of it per bag cost, that's all.
Yeah, he had.
That's how I was thinking. I
No,
would
because
get
he
the
had
bundle.
it at 4 and 250. Yeah,
40 and 20, okay.
no, he had, the one column we were looking at was $4 for the large and 250 for the small,
Per bag.
per bag.
Per bag,
How many
So
per,
it's 40 and 25,
times
40
it by per-
25.
how many ever bags per bundle?
10.
10,
There's 10 per bundle.
right.
Okay.
And I have pictures on those plates if you want.
I step on them every week.
The person that runs from them, I see you.
I try to throw it in the bag, get from as farthest as possible.
Good arm, you got a good arm.
That's from weightlifting every day. I'll feel my
If you
muscle.
need another guy, here's your guy, you still got that opening. All right,
That's it.
7:30 again.
Yeah, what time we got?
What about cable,
Cable TV,
Oh, yeah, cable TV.
cable TV?
Go ahead.
I don't watch it. I cut
So I had sent email out to the board earlier about the negotiations with Charter in terms of the cable license agreement. We initially asked for so there's two things happening. One, we asked for higher upfront capital to initial, higher capital payments and lower percentages for operating revenue over the duration of the contract. They countered with their original sort of traditional higher percentages, operating percentages, because essentially they can generate that money through their sales and then pay the town at the end of that 12-month period.
All right,
I'm fine with the traditional approach that Charter is offering. The most important part for me is that they get all the back-end equipment installed and operating, and they'll do that within this contract within 180 days, and that will allow us to broadcast. As soon as that's in, it allows us to broadcast. We'll need to have some small purchases for a switcher and things like that.
okay, do you have a spot picked out for that, or are you looking for, I know you talked about possibly 2 rooms for broadcasting, or?
Yeah, I think we should try to do two initially. What I would suggest is that maybe we push Charter for about 0.5% higher in their offering. But other than that, it'll allow us to get that back-end equipment installed and operating, and then it'll give us a higher, payment from Charter will allow us to build out those meeting rooms and build out our equipment over that 10-year period.
So you want to you want to hold till we get it, see if we can get 0.5% more?
Yeah, and that was the recommendation from our council, that,
Great,
Oh, yeah.
okay.
and if that's,
So the front, the traditional thing is fine. We'll see if we can get 0.5% more.
Okay.
I mean, 0.5% of 1.8 million is what, $90,000? Right? 1% would be 180,000, yeah, 90,000.
18,000.
What?
Well, 0.5% would be 9,000, yeah.
9,000, right?
Yeah.
Okay. They got it. All right, we're all set with that?
I'm stuck with it.
Reports?
Nothing to report.
I got nothing to report.
The cannon has gone home.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Thank you, we're safe from the attack from the east.
Oh, we can't shoot it anymore, so.
Don't tell them that on live TV.
Oh.
All right, the cannon's home. What else you got?
Cannon's home. Just talked about cable. On my list. Fiscal year's coming to an end, so we got final warrants. Probably the first week of July. We'll have to get things in.
Meeting next Wednesday,
We're meeting.
or tomorrow, this Wednesday, right?
For what, staff meeting?
Yeah.
Staff meeting's this Wednesday. Do you want to do anything with the master plan?
Yes,
Who's gonna be doing that? You?
yeah.
Okay, I'll put that on.
And you're gonna do the MVP video.
Oh, Brian will hand out autographed copies.
That's a nice video.
He looks good.
It is 20 minutes. It's quite lengthy, but maybe
22 minutes.
my staff meetings usually last 20 minutes.
Well,
Well, they
somebody
could
there
sit
for
here.
hair and makeup on him.
Maybe I should bring popcorn then.
You still got the machine, Julie? Can we borrow a popcorn machine?
Sure.
Oh, great.
We have it upstairs.
Seasonal unemployment. Both of those were denied on appeal. They were the seasonal snowplow driver and the temporary groundskeeper, work for the highway department. Apparently, the positions need to be whatever you want to call it, distinctly separate from any other work that happens in the department. So because we hire full-time snowplow drivers, we cannot seasonally certify a temporary snowplow driver for the purposes of not paying unemployment. Same with the grounds. So we had a hearing, and we made our case, and they denied it, so. That's where we are with that. We're working on insurance renewals for FY '26. We're making sure
Is that
that,
$10,000 in the unemployment gonna cover it?
Well, 48,000 on the bill. You're denying most of that, right?
oh, that's
that's a
totally
whole other
separate.
thing, that's a whole-
That's totally
that's a whole other
separate from way back. Yes.
Okay,
Where are we on committee reassignment or committee reappointments?
committee reappointments, where are we on that?
We're gonna work for that for a future June meeting, yep.
That,
Board will be organized the 24th, is that the plan?
Yep.
if someone's
Someone's
elected,
elected, okay.
Sure, maybe they're both turned down.
after this.
After watching this, like, kidding? Those cookies?
All right, I entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss collective bargaining with the highway union, and we will not return to open session.
So moved.
Any discussion, all in favor, Donald Davenport, aye?
John Pine, aye.
Okay.